Okay, so last night Clay and I watched The Croods, and I had kind of mixed feelings going into the movie. On the one hand, I know this is a movie that's, as I've said before, it shares one of the two directors of Lilo and Stitch and How to Train Your Dragon. Two movies I like quite a bit. I'm like, okay, this gives me some optimism going into the movie. On the other hand, I remember that year in particular, when it came to the Oscars, the Academy Awards, one of the movies that was not nominated for Best Animated Picture is the Madoka Magica movie, the Rebellion movie. Which, as you may or may not know, depending on which videos you've watched of mine, because I don't think I've made a full Madoka video, it is my favorite anime. It is genuinely one of my favorite works of fiction. I love it. And the movie, to me, it's less of I consider it one of my favorite movies, less because I think it's a phenomenal movie, and just more of, this is a continuation and extension of one of my favorite works of fiction. So, yeah, unless it's bad, I'm gonna fucking love it. And I can see why people wouldn't like Rebellion, but that's definitely a topic for another video. But I remember looking through the nominations that year, be like, yeah, this was submitted for, Best Animated Best Animated Picture, but it wasn't even nominated. I was like, but The Croods was? I haven't seen it. Maybe it's great. But you stole its spot. I don't remember everything else that was nominated that year. I know Frozen was, and I do love Frozen. So, and I know it won. And something I've heard, I don't know if it's true, that they even said, yeah, we didn't even watch the other animated movies. We just said, Frozen's super popular, just give it to her. Which, I know the Academy has its problems when it comes to animated pictures. And, that's really fucking shitty that they do that. But I've always looked at The Croods as you're the movie that stole Rebellion's spot. I don't like you. So on the one hand, I'm going into the movie going, I don't like you. But on the other hand, going into okay, I do have hope. Overall, my opinion on the movie is thus. It's fine. It's a perfectly fine movie. My favorite thing in the movie... okay, so we're going to put a pin in the ending, because it's really important that I talk about the ending, because that's what I have the most to say about. But everything else, the monster designs I really like. I love the owlbear thing you see at the beginning of the movie. I love the weird snake cat things, the double-headed cats with a snake tail in between. I think that thing's really cool. I love the swarm of piranha birds. The monsters are so cool. I think the world is so cool. Now, the plot, it's, here's a family essentially going on a big trip. Instead of hey, we're going on a vacation, it's the apocalypse is happening and we have to survive. Which I think is an interesting kind of take on the, road trip genre. The idea of the overprotective father who's no, anything new is bad, anything new is dangerous, you can't do it, is a trope I generally don't care for. But here, the fact that it's an overprotective father who hates new things because he's a caveman and he's seen other people die and just wants to keep his family safe is a new, fresh spin on it, and I like that. Yeah, I know people kind of said that about How to Train Your Dragon as well. It's the liar revealed story, but with the stakes going on, yeah, if I reveal this, they're going to kill my friend. I can't do that. You're yeah, it makes a lot more sense, and you become a lot more sympathetic to that cliche, even though it's something you've seen a billion times. And I would agree with that here. I think the family, with the exception of Grug, so we're going to put a pin in Grug and talk about him with the ending, I think they're fine. Again, they're kind of like the side characters in How to Train Your Dragon. I remember them, but I don't remember them super well. It's yeah, there's a line or two that I think is kind of funny. Hey, Douglas, roll over. And then the pet, rolls over and falls off a cliff. Good boy. That's pretty funny. Whenever Grug thinks that his mother-in-law has died, and he just gets really happy and then really upset when he realizes she's still alive. Which is, they basically already did that joke in Madagascar 3, and like I said, that's the best joke in that entire series to me. So, here it wasn't as funny. It's a good joke, I think it's funny. But with Madagascar, I'm dude, I empathize with you. I fucking hate King Julian. And then, later in the movie, I'm wait, he's actually funny now. Wait, this movie's great. It's like, there's moments where I do like them and I do care about them, but I'm not super invested in them. The main girl, it's Eve, I wasn't quite sure. The Emma Stone one, she's okay. To me, she is a far less interesting version of Ariel from The Little Mermaid. She is the, I want to see new things. I have curiosity. I'm tired of being stuck in a cave. And then she meets a dude played by Ryan Reynolds, who his name is Guy, but I'm just going to call him Ryan Reynolds, who's like, oh yeah, I have ideas. I have a brain, which does lead to a funny scene where the son's like, Dad, I don't have a brain. He's like, yeah, I have these ideas. I believe that the world is going to be ending, and look at all the shit that's happening. Like, I'm not making it up, which I do like. He's not like some kind of false prophet liar, so he's like, no, this shit is going to happen. Come with me so you don't die. I do kind of like that, but I thought he was fine. It's like, yeah, he got laughs out of me, and I wasn't like, this guy is unlikable, this guy is unfunny. He just didn't really do it for me. And most of Emma Stone, because like I said, I don't super remember her name, so I'm probably just going to be calling her Emma Stone. Which, shout out to Emma Stone, I really like her. She's like, yeah, she meets this new guy, and then she just kind of falls for him really quickly. He's kind of fawning over him, and while still being a bit of a caveman, like, that's kind of it. And, like, I remember Ariel, where she's got this whole collection, like, her whole little grotto. Grotto is one of those words that, like, I don't use it super often, and I kind of like it, but there's also something just kind of gross about it. I don't know why. But she has this whole grotto of collectibles, which all have different names. Like, what is it? The fork is the Dinglehopper, which she asks Scuttle, the fucking moronic seagull, like, hey, what is this? It's a this thing, and, you put it in your hair to do your hair. And then she eats that up because she doesn't know any better. But that's one of the things I like about Ariel. It's not just, I'm curious and I want to know stuff. You do see, like, that wonder in her eyes, or, like, you see her actively collecting shit, trying to figure out what it does. And then when she actually does become human, she's like, oh my god, it's all this shit. And, like, when she gets a fork, she starts using her hair with it. She's like, yeah, I know how you guys do shit. Oh, apparently I don't know what's going on. And then, like, there's this montage where you actually see her interacting with other people and other objects, and she's just having the time of her life. And I didn't super get that from Emma Stone. Like, you get it when fire is first introduced, which is a fun scene. And when she and Guy are, like, using the puppet as a trap. But that was more of, hey, I need your help with, or it's like, I'm gonna go hunt. You want to help? Yeah, I want to hunt. And I guess this is it. It felt more to me that her curiosity and wanting to see new shit was more about, I want the man rather than I want the knowledge. And there's nothing wrong with that per se. Like, again, like, I didn't dislike her, but when I look at Ariel is kind of a bit of both. But to me, it's more that she always loved the knowledge. And I think that's kind of why she fell for Eric so quickly. Which also, it's a Disney princess. But, like, that's really what it was. It was, I love humanity. I love all the cool shit they have to offer. And now here's one who's admittedly pretty cute. And he gives me, like, I can get all this knowledge. This is awesome. And for Eve, Emma Stone, I just didn't super get that. So let's take these pins out. Let's talk about Grug, who is my favorite character in the movie. Part of it is because he has a great caveman name. Part of it is because he's played by Nicolas Cage. Part of it is because he's just Unga. He is Unga personified, and I love it. So like I said, he is an overprotective father, and the very kind of almost like conservative footloose dad of like, you can't do these new things, I won't allow you. But again, because it comes from genuine concern for his family's safety, which is understandable in the world and environment they live in, you get it. Now, there can be moments where he's a bit much, but again, like, it's based, so part of it, let me put it like this. When it feels like it's based off genuine concern for his family, I think he's very likable. When it comes across as, I'm losing my pride as a father figure because someone is supplanting me, that's when he can become obnoxious. Like, there's a whole part in the movie where he's like, Guy has all these ideas, that I've got ideas. And basically everyone in the movie is like, this is really stupid, he's just making an ass of himself, which he is. And it's one of those, like, it's It's a bit much, but it is kind of funny. And there's this whole section later where, like, he starts just attacking Guy and they end up getting stuck in a tar pit. And you're like, okay, this is all your fault. Like, this is when you're starting to just become obnoxious rather than still likable. But I feel like the big theme of his character, aside from, overprotective dad, is, well, caveman. Someone stuck in this old time, this old mindset. And while you've got Guy, who is a more modern person, as modern as you can get in that time period, but someone who's more forward-thinking and willing to evolve. And you have the rest of the family, who is showing that they're ready to evolve. They don't want to live in caves anymore. They want to, use new methods of stuff. They think this fire shit is really dope. And there's a part in the movie where shit's kind of going down, and Grug's like, all right, everybody, get into a cave. He's like, no, we're not doing that anymore. We want to go with Guy. And it comes across as though, yeah, his family is willing to leave him behind, which does lead to him getting really mad and attacking Guy. So again, it's like, you understand, but it is just like, now you're just being aggressive for the sake of your pride rather than the caution of your family, which, I mean, you could argue it's the caution for his family, but it's where it gets kind of borderline-y. But then you get to the ending, where, in quotes, I guess the climax, which is like, okay, everything's kind of going to shit. They keep going, or it's like after he and Guy have made up, and he's like, all right, I believe in this shit, no fear, blah, blah, blah. They get to a point where they can't keep crossing. Like, there is just no land over there. It's like a big old chasm. And Grug realizes, he's like, okay, what we need now is not some newfangled idea. What we need is my strength. I can literally yeet y'all one at a time, or I guess, I'm going to wife and the baby or a package deal. But generally one at a time, and throw you guys across. And you will all be safe. The oncoming disasters won't be able to hurt you. You can keep moving forward. All right, Guy, you're first. Man, I've been wanting to throw you off a cliff for a long fucking time. Yeets him, knows that he's safe. And he's like, all right, son next. Come on, kiddo. And then his son just kind of realizes, wait, you're not coming, are you? Like, if you're the one who's going to be throwing us all, you can't throw yourself. Which, now I'm just remembering that gag from Animaniacs. Well, like, Michelangelo, has him, all right, 1, 2, and then throws, and then he's the one that gets thrown out of the building. But it's like, you can't throw yourself. You're staying behind, aren't you? And yeah, that's exactly what's going on. Grug throws all his family across, has a nice little moment with all of them, makes up with his daughter, tells her that he loves her, gives her a hug because it rhymes with Grug. And there's a scene where he's like, I have an ideas man now. I don't remember what he calls the first couple things, but he's like, I call it this because it rhymes with Grug. And then I called it this because it rhymes with Grug. No, that second one doesn't actually rhyme with Grug. You're retarded. And, but he's like, hug, it rhymes with Grug. It's a really sweet moment. And then he yeets her, and then he's by himself. And you spend a few minutes of Grug by himself, going into a cave, making sure they're all okay. They wave to him, he kind of waves back. He goes to a cave. He's able to make fire. And then he just makes a cave painting, which the movie starts, the first, couple minutes are told through a cave painting. I think that's a really cool idea. I think it looks really nice. And, generally, I think the movie does look good. Although there's maybe, a moment or two where a person doesn't look quite right, but generally I think it's fine. Where he's making these cave paintings and, all his family members. And it's this really sweet moment. And I remember just thinking to myself, oh, this is how the movie's going to end. It ends with him alone. The overprotective father who wanted nothing more than for his family to be safe. And in the end, he delivered on that. He made sure, whatever, him be damned, that his family was okay. And while they were consistently able to evolve, or at least showed the willingness to, he really didn't. Maybe until it was too little too late. And at this point, that's exactly what it is. He is alone stuck in an old world, in an old, dying world. Huh. And I remember just thinking to myself, it's like, this movie has been, for me, very thoroughly okay. But this ending, this is the kind of thing that sticks with me. This is the thing that can elevate this movie from being, yeah, it was fine, to, I really liked it. I didn't realize what they were going for until we got to the end. And when I did, it kind of made me reevaluate the whole thing. I think another example of this is the game Limbo. Excuse me, it was this indie game that came out like forever and a day ago. I want to say like 2012, but that could be wrong. Where the game is, you're playing as this silent protagonist in this dark area. It's like a dark forest, and you get through the forest, and then it's like this dark factory, and they're like a hotel. Like, it used to be like more modern settings and shit. And it's every screen is a puzzle, and you go through all the puzzles. And I did the game in one sitting. I was like, it's short, I can do that. And as the game was going on, I was like, okay, I'm starting to get kind of annoyed. It's like, there's just so much shit. And some of these puzzles and areas are really fun. Some of them are just kind of annoying. But we're doing it. Fuck, this is getting tedious. And then I finally do the last puzzle. And it's like this cool gravity thing, and then you fall and you like break through, which I guess spoilers for Limbo. But it's a game that's very vague on its story, so I don't feel like I'm really spoiling anything, but I will go ahead and make that warning now. But you end up flying through, like, you essentially like break through this barrier, and it's like, cool, you have finally escaped, and then you're back in the first screen. And I remember thinking to myself, oh, that's what this game is about. That's why there's so many puzzles. That's why they get so tedious by the end. Almost like that feeling of annoyance of like, oh, this is so annoying. This is kind of getting frustrating. But I'm done. I'm about to hit the ending. I'm about to escape. We're good. Just to go right back to the start. Because there is no escape from Limbo. Why ever you're here, faceless, shadowy boy, you deserve to be here. You don't get to escape. And I thought, that is an incredible ending. Yeah, I thought the first third of the game, when you're walking through the forest, was fantastic, and everything else was just kind of okay, overstaying its welcome. But with an ending like that, I feel like it was kind of the point, and in a way that really worked. Okay, game, I see you. Then I end up finding out, because at that point, I turned the game off. Then I find out, yeah, if you had walked, 4 steps forward, you would have gotten an actual ending. It's not just, yeah, you started back at the beginning, and the game kind of loops forever, like you would have imagined Limbo does. That's kind of what it means to be in Limbo. Like, no, there's an actual bit of an ending, which leads to its own kind of vague storytelling. I'm like, oh. So the game just went from brilliant to, oh, okay. Which is exactly what happened with the Croods, because after Grug is by himself, and you really get that somber sense of oh, this is really what the movie was about. Damn, that hits hard. Then he ends up hearing them blowing the horn. He's like, oh shit, someone's in danger. I gotta figure out an idea. Gets an idea, and the idea works. And he does all this crazy shit and saves a bunch of animals. And then he goes back. Then he's like, who's in danger? Like, no, we were just doing it because we were sad, and we're just now so happy that you're back. And it's like, hey, we're caveman, but we evolved, and we're Gucci now. And I was like, the movie went from fine to holy shit, and then right back to fine. But now that I've had that taste of it being fantastic, I can't help but feel disappointed. I genuinely don't think this is a bad film. But I think it's a thoroughly okay film for about 2/3. Not even, it's 95% of it is fine. Then there's this golden 5%. And if it had ended on the golden 5%, I think I would have enjoyed the movie a lot more. And it would have made me look back on and be like, this isn't a movie that's okay with a good ending. It really does build up to it, and it really works. maybe the movie is actually all gold. Or like, maybe there's still a bit of bronze. But like, it's bronze, then you start building up to the silver, and then you end with the gold. Now it is just like, yeah, it's bronze, iron, pyrite, and then kind of back to bronze. So it's, unfortunately, it was great, and then just went back to being fine.